Jesus and Buddha, the hidden message that can transform your life. Parallel paths, births, miracles, and breaking paradigms. Hello, explorers of truth and seekers of mysteries. We have already navigated rivers of faith and spirituality, unveiled myths, and faced the shadows of fanaticism. Today, we dive into one of the most fascinating comparisons in human history, that of Jesus Christ and Buddha. At first glance, it might seem there's nothing in common between the founder of Christianity, a monotheistic Western religion, and the master of enlightenment from the East, whose path does not center on the worship of a god. But what if I told you that the lives and teachings of these two great masters, separated by centuries and continents, share similarities that could surprise you, move you, and above all, make you reflect on what faith truly means? Our mission here is to go beyond dogmas and find the universal message that unites them. Let's begin our journey by looking at the start of their lives, which, although different, carried a strong sense of destiny. The story of Jesus is that of a humble yet extraordinary birth in a manger, visited by kings and announced by angels. He was the son of a carpenter, but his life was marked by signs that he was the Son of God, sent to save humanity. His journey began in simplicity, but with the divine purpose. He did not come from a palace, but from among the people, ready to serve and teach. Think about the humility of this beginning, a king born in a stable, ready to break all expectations. Buddha's life, Siddhartha Gautama, began in the opposite setting, but was equally marked by destiny. He was a prince, born in a palace of luxury and wealth, with prophecies that he would become either a great ruler or a great spiritual leader. His father shielded him from the suffering of the world, surrounding him with pleasures and comfort. But upon seeing the suffering of a sick man, an elderly man, and a dead man, he abandoned his wealth and palace life to seek truth and liberation from suffering. His journey, though starting from a different point, was also a breaking of paradigms, leaving behind the material world in search of something greater and deeper. Both, in their own ways, questioned the status quo of their religions and societies, seeking a path to truth accessible to all. Their stories were also marked by struggles and temptations. Jesus was led into the desert, where he was tempted by the devil for 40 days, resisting through faith and spirit. Buddha was tempted by the demon Mara, who tried to distract him from his meditation and enlightenment with desires and fears. Both, at the height of their journeys, had to face their inner and outer demons to fulfill their missions. These stories show us that the spiritual path is not easy, and that even the greatest masters had to struggle and sacrifice to reach the light. Your practical action from this reflection: think of a difficult moment in your life, a struggle or temptation you had to face. Instead of focusing on the pain, try to find the wisdom that experience brought you. Struggle is not an obstacle to your growth, but an essential part of your journey. If this view of the parallel paths of Jesus and Buddha inspired you, comment the word journey and share your thoughts about the search for enlightenment. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, like the video and subscribe to the channel. The heart of the message: love, compassion, and ending suffering. Continuing our journey along the parallel paths of Jesus and Buddha, it is time to move beyond the stories and miracles to what truly matters, the heart of their messages. While one speaks of a merciful God, and the other of a path to enlightenment without the need for a creator, their views on human suffering and how to transcend it are surprisingly similar. Both looked upon a world of pain, injustice, and attachment, and offered a way forward that was not based on power, wealth, or social status, but on inner transformation, guided by the most powerful force in the universe: love and compassion. Our mission here is to understand this hidden message that unites them and still resonates with our souls today. In Christianity, the core of Jesus' teaching is love. He taught us to love our neighbor as ourselves, to love our enemies, and to forgive 70 times 7. His faith was not based on empty rituals or rigid dogmas, but on a relationship of love with God and humanity. Jesus was a master of compassion, welcoming the marginalized, the sick, prostitutes, and sinners, showing that divine love is for everyone without exception. His message was revolutionary in a society that valued law above compassion, and he became the greatest example of love and forgiveness the world has ever seen. His spirituality was not about what was done in the temple, but about what was done in the heart and how we treat one another. In Buddhism, the central message of Buddha is compassion karuna. He taught that suffering dukkha is an intrinsic part of human existence, and that the only way to free ourselves from it is through detachment and the cultivation of compassion. His Four Noble Truths reveal that the root of suffering is desire and attachment, and that the path to the end of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path, which includes right action, right thought, and right speech, all guided by compassion. Buddha did not speak of a God who loves us, but of a universal truth that teaches us to love and have compassion for all sentient beings. His spirituality was not about salvation, but about liberation through our own compassion and wisdom. Despite their theological differences, Jesus and Buddha offer us the same message. The path to inner peace and liberation from suffering passes through an inner transformation that leads us to practice love and compassion. They show us that the well-being of our soul is intrinsically connected to the well-being of others, and that true spirituality is manifested in the way we treat one another. Your practical action here: next time you feel irritated or judge someone, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Instead of letting anger control you, try to feel compassion and empathy. Consider why this person might have acted that way, and try to find a more loving and kind thought. This is the true practice of love and compassion that Jesus and Buddha taught us. If this view of compassion as a universal path inspired you, comment the word compassion and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, like the video and subscribe to the channel. The danger of wealth, detachment, and the quest for a simple life. Continuing our deep analysis, it's time to face a topic that, in our modern world, seems to go against everything we are taught: the danger of wealth and the beauty of a simple life. If in the previous section we spoke of love and compassion as the heart of the message of Jesus and Buddha, here we will focus on what they taught us about our relationship with the material world. In a society where advertising tells us that happiness lies in acquiring more, they offered a radically opposite vision: that freedom and inner peace come from detachment. Both knew that the relentless pursuit of wealth and material possessions is one of the greatest causes of human suffering, and their lives and teachings are a beacon guiding us toward a lighter path. In Christianity, Jesus was very clear about the danger of attachment to money and wealth. He told us that you cannot serve both God and money. He was not against money itself, but against the love of money, which he saw as an idol that distances us from true faith. In one of his most famous stories, he tells of the rich young man who became sad when invited to sell all he had and give to the poor to follow the master. This story is not a condemnation of wealth, but an invitation to a life of detachment, focusing on heavenly treasure that cannot be stolen or destroyed. Jesus himself lived a life of simplicity, with no place to lay his head, showing that true wealth is spiritual, and true freedom is not found in the possessions we own, but in our ability to free ourselves from our ego and attachment to them. His message shows us that sometimes we must let go of something that seems essential to achieve what is truly sacred. In Buddhism, detachment is the foundation of the entire path to enlightenment. Buddha, a prince who had everything the material world could offer, made the conscious decision to leave his palace and wealth to find the root of suffering. He understood that attachment to possessions, pleasures, desires, and even our own ego is what keeps us trapped in the cycle of suffering and rebirth. His message is not about poverty for its own sake, but about a lifestyle of simplicity and moderation, where what matters is not what you have, but who you are. For Buddha, freedom is not in wealth, but in the mind that frees itself from desire. Money and material goods are seen as tools, not the purpose of existence, and the true power lies in knowing how to use those tools without becoming their slave. Both Jesus and Buddha invite us to reflect on our own attachments. In a world that teaches us to accumulate, they teach us to release. In a world that sells happiness through consumption, they show us that peace and joy are found in simplicity and generosity. Your practical action here: The lesson of detachment is not about abandoning everything, but about exercising your freedom. Choose an item you no longer use or need, and donate or sell it. As you do so, reflect on the feeling of letting go, of releasing. If this view of simplicity as a path to freedom inspired you, comment the word detachment and share your thoughts on freeing yourself from attachment to material possessions. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, like the video and subscribe to the channel. The wisdom of the sages. Universal lessons of forgiveness and transformation. We've reached the final point of our journey, and the great revelation that emerges is not about differences, but about the deep unity between Jesus and Buddha. We've seen that their lives and teachings followed parallel paths. Both were masters of love and compassion. Both preached detachment from material wealth and the ego as the path to freedom from suffering. But there is one last point that unites them, perhaps the most powerful of all: forgiveness and inner transformation. They knew that hatred and revenge are chains that bind us, and that the only way to break free is through a radical act of forgiveness, whether toward ourselves or others. This is the wisdom that transcends religions and connects us to our deepest essence. In Christianity, forgiveness is the pillar of Jesus' message. He taught us to forgive not only friends, but also enemies. In one of his most powerful moments, on the cross, he forgave his aggressors, an act that, for many Christians, is the ultimate example of divine love and mercy. Forgiveness in the Christian faith is not just an act of kindness, but a divine command, a way to free our souls from hatred and resentment so they can be filled with God's love and light. It is an act of humility and surrender, recognition that our souls need forgiveness to be healed. Forgiveness is the path to inner peace and reconciliation with the sacred and with others. In Buddhism, forgiveness is not a command from a god, but a necessity for enlightenment. Buddha taught that anger, hatred, and resentment are poisons that prevent us from reaching nirvana. For Buddha, forgiveness is not about the other person, but about ourselves. It is an act of letting go of the suffering that resentment causes us, a way to free our minds from the prison of bitterness. Meditation and the practice of compassion are the tools Buddhists use to cultivate forgiveness and free themselves from the cycle of hatred. Buddha's wisdom shows us that peace can only be found in a mind that forgives and lets go of attachment to the past. Both masters were revolutionaries who challenged the conventions of their time, not with weapons or political power, but with the strength of their messages of love, compassion, and forgiveness. They showed us that true spirituality is not found in empty rituals or rigid dogmas, but in a life of wisdom and authenticity. The legacy of Jesus and Buddha is an invitation for us today to look at our own lives and seek a path of forgiveness and inner transformation. May your journey reflect the love and wisdom these masters have taught us. Your final practical action: think of a moment when you felt wronged, and instead of feeding your anger, try to mentally forgive the person who caused you pain. And if the pain is too great, at least try to release the feeling of hatred, because the only person who truly benefits from forgiveness is you. If this reflection on forgiveness inspired you to seek your own peace, comment the word wisdom and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, like the video and subscribe to the channel.